So this is, are we live? Are we live?
I
Okay,
believe so.
that's wonderful. Well, welcome, assalamu alaikum, welcome, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. And welcome to another Wednesday lunch hour hosted by Care Florida, where we discuss issues and topics that we hope are of interest to you, to bring you the latest from our community. Today we have two special guests. Actually, today is a staff chat, which is one of the more fun events that we do together, where we basically update you and actually interview not people from outside of care, but actually our own staff on their goals and ambitions and the programs that are happening in their areas. And today I'd like to introduce Wilfredo Ruiz, our Director of Communications. Hello, Wilfredo.
Hello, Norma. Hello, Lara. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome.
And Lara Ghanem, the Central Florida Regional Coordinator, who is just surfaced from taking the bar exam. So welcome, and you look very, very happy and fresh.
And she's alive.
And alive for someone who's just.
Definitely feel alive. I feel very different. You all saw what I looked like yesterday. This is a very different persona today.
Well, but anyway, we're glad, and we all, both of us having taken bar exams before, we know what a big deal that is. And this is not only a moment of a lot of work and dedication, but also anxiousness. And we welcome you into the fold, give you a virtual hug.
So, thank you.
What we'd like to discuss today is a bit of the vision and the refocusing of Care Florida's activities to make our programs meaningful for the community, and to basically take advantage of the little bit of a new wind that's blowing also within some government agencies, to be more open to receive the trainings that Care Florida offers in order to fight Islamophobia and basically ensure that civil rights are protected for people of all religions, races in the state of Florida. We're limited in our activities to the state of Florida. So I'll turn it over to Wilfredo, maybe to let us know what's going on in South Florida first, and then we'll go to Lara.
Good. I would love to give a little bit of history to for our public to understand how our organization, your organization, Care Florida, have evolved with the passage of time. Not so long ago, perhaps 10, 11 years ago, Care Florida had no attorneys available for the community. Today, we have a civil rights department. That has happened in the past years. Now we have immigration attorneys taking care of immigration. We have an advocacy group dedicated to take all the matters that don't amount to litigation to court and advocate for those on behalf of our community. And perhaps that from not having attorneys available, for having a regional operation divided into regions, to transforming into an organization with various attorneys working in these different capacities, to an organization with statewide operation, no longer a regional operation, north, south, east, or west, but a statewide operation. And where we're going, and that's what we want to dedicate today's program to, where we're going, what's our vision, what we're going to do different from the past years. And I believe one of the main changes is that we want to be more purposeful on the trainings we give. We're going to be more purposeful on the cases we take to court. We're going to be more purposeful on the people we address and the reason why behind our trainings. And that's what we're going to be talking and expanding today on that new vision that is a transformative vision that has been possible just because of the support, the continued support of the community year after year.
Thank you. And the community certainly benefits from that. I don't know. I mean, it's difficult when you have legal victories. You can't usually talk about them. But suffice it to say that people have gotten their jobs back and been compensated for wrongs that have been done to them. Lara, please tell us a little bit about what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Sure. Well, assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you, Norma, for inviting us. I'm sorry that it took so long for us to get here. I know we planned this months ago, but I appreciate the opportunity to discuss what's happening in Central Florida. So essentially what I've only been in the role for, I think maybe about 6 months now, alhamdulillah. And my main focus here was just to essentially revamp the Orlando office. Get back out into the community, get back out with not just the Muslim community, but the non-Muslim community, the people in power, the grassroots organizations, trying to build these relationships with them, trying to provide the trainings. We're really focusing here in Central Florida on amplifying these Islam 101s and the Know Your Rights. Across the state, but that's something that I've been really pushing for here in Central Florida. It's just, the community has been very receptive here. So we can go more into that later on, inshallah.
Okay, yeah, and the thing is, we're amongst ourselves, we're throwing around, jargon or phrases that we all know what it means. But could you tell us what is an Islam 101?
So our Islam 101s we also call them diversity trainings. So what they do, and we tailor them to whoever our audience is. So for instance, if we're doing a training to a hospital, we say this is what Islam is. These are the Muslim practices. This is the majority of how Muslims practice. And these are the ways that you can respect those practices in your line of work. So if you have a Muslim patient, what are their rights and how do you respect their religious identity, things like that. So we tailor them to the different audience that we have, and they've been very successful, alhamdulillah, and they're growing. I came back from the bar exam and I have like 5 or 6 on my calendar for just this month alone. So alhamdulillah.
Yeah. And I remember last year, was it the year before? Because time is so fluid now in COVID. We've done trainings for HR organizations, to basically help non-Muslims understand the needs and preferences of their Muslim employees in larger organizations to avoid lawsuits. Because it's always better to build bridges than to litigate over infractions. So go ahead.
And you said it well, Norma, because now look at that. We were able to impact dozens and dozens of labor places through this HR conference. We were able to give an Islam 101 there. The same with other agencies or law enforcement agencies as well, government agencies and law enforcement agencies. We have a unique exchange now with federal agencies where they are training on our employees, and we will be also providing trainings to the employees of that agency as well. And that replicates to 1, 2, 3 or more federal agencies. On law enforcement, and in law enforcement the same. We have been able to train law enforcement that work on university campuses. We're directly involved with law enforcement, like deputy sheriff's offices around the state, in training them on cultural and religious diversity in Islam, the Islam 101. And there are more we're going to be doing this year, but like I said, we're being more intentional, more consequential. Why? Because if we want to address the root cause of the problems that keep revisiting us year after year, we're never going to change things. And I believe we have a mature organization now capable of being an agent of transformative change when we address the root causes of the Islamophobia that affects our community, the root causes of the racism that affects our community, and the root causes of the hate and discrimination that affects our community, from toddlers that show in no-fly list to elders that are also discriminated by either a government agency or services or by a business.
Yeah. And speaking as a non-Muslim, and just from my own experience, there are so many questions that people may have and are afraid to ask. So I think just the outreach and going into the public spaces and doing these Islam 101 trainings, this is why I wanted to make sure that this is explained. It tears down barriers, and it also allows people to ask questions, even questions that they think, oh, this may be a stupid question, this may be an insensitive question. Can I ask this, in this safe space, cone of silence and all? And one thing you just mentioned, Wilfredo, and we don't have Ahmed Khan on the program today, who's our Southwest Florida coordinator in Fort Myers. He and you have been working on a brochure for elder care and end-of-life care, for example, to help families that are dealing with the impending loss of a parent or a grandparent, not have to explain this to the not to explain the religious aspects of the care for the elder to the medical staff. Could you talk a little bit about that? It's a brochure.
Sure. This is a perfect example, Norma, of how we're doing things different and now. Perhaps in the past, we will produce an informative brochure and make sure that ended in the hands of those people that will benefit from that information. Now we are preparing that as a single project, meaning that we're going to be in charge not only in the production of the informative brochure but also in the training of all hospital facilities and elder care centers throughout Florida, so that their medical personnel and their chaplaincy personnel are trained and given tools to revisit when catering to a Muslim patient. This is something that does not exist. There's no short references based on a good research like we did, and with good references for medical personnel to use, for chaplaincy personnel to use when catering to elder Muslim patients and end-of-life care as well. This is an ongoing project. We're going to launch it completely this year. This will be one of the most transformative projects as far as our relation to cater to the elder population within our community. That is a vibrant and active population. As a matter of fact, the people who flood the Islamic centers, the people that participate the most in religious gatherings are precisely the elder population. And as a matter of fact, the founding members of new mosques and schools are most of the time elders in the Muslim population, who take upon them and other members of the community to build communities from scratch, meaning bringing an Islamic center to worship, bringing a school to teach children, and bringing a community center for the community to gather in their social and religious activities. That keeps replicating throughout the state, to the point where there are over 150 Islamic centers or mosques or musalas throughout the state of Florida. Is probably one of the top 5 states with the most Islamic centers in the whole nation.
Right. And I would think that as a healthcare professional, my oath would be first do no harm and make sure, they want to do the best for their patients. And often there's just not knowing. It's not that you want to discriminate against someone or you want to be insensitive. You just don't know. So to me, when I saw that brochure, and it's, I guess, available on request, people can call and get copies, and we also distribute them, I'm going, wow, I did not know that. I did not know that. And of course, it's such a small thing to do, but it's such a big thing. And then, also as the children of these of elders that are in care, I would want to know that my parent is getting the best care in their later stages of life, if I can't care for myself. Because of course that's always the best care. The family does it, but unfortunately not always available. So Laura, coming back to you, you said that you had all these programs on your plate now. Coming back from, can you talk a little bit about what's planned?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to, bandwagon off of what Wilfredo said. Outreach is really a major key that we're trying to full steam ahead, focus on that in this upcoming year, inshallah. With all the changes that are going around, we've always done outreach, but now it's definitely a major key. I mean, we have these brochures, we have all these trainings going on because our plan is educate, protect, and advocate. So here we are educating in order to prevent, having to further down to litigation. Right. we work hand in hand with the legal department, but we don't want it to get that far where there is serious harm that cannot be undone. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're here to do, is to educate. So I have quite a lot going on. We actually trained American Red Cross last year, just the Central Florida region, but they were so receptive to it. And like you said, Norma, they asked, when we do these Islam 101 diversity trainings, a lot of questions come out, and we're always welcome to them. Ask the strangest questions that you have for us. What are your thoughts? What are the misconceptions that you have? Don't be afraid to ask them, because we're here to clear that up. That's what these trainings and these discussions are for. Mm-hmm. So they were very receptive, that they actually wanted to do now for the whole state of Florida, alhamdulillah. So we have that going on this month. We're going to be training the entire American Red Cross, I believe volunteers and possibly staff, if I'm not mistaken. We also trained CBP last year, and that opened up. We did 2 trainings with them last year.
CBP being Customs and Border Protection.
Border Protection, yes. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for clarifying for me.
But I think that's a big deal, because that's a major government agency.
Wilfredo had mentioned, we have these watch list issues. We have toddlers being stopped that are on these watch lists that it doesn't make sense. They're literally a toddler. How are they going to be on a terrorist watch list? So we do these. We finally got in the door where we were able to do these Islam 101 trainings twice in 1 month, with some CBP here in Florida, and they were also very receptive to it. Like, well, what do we do about this? What do we do that? We're teaching them, like, listen, if you see someone who wears a hijab, make sure that these are the ways that you're respecting them, and if you have to, although we don't advocate, or we don't agree that it's proper for cell phones to be searched, if you're going to do it because you think that you have the right to do it, make sure that you have a woman do it, because there are private pictures that could be there with women that are not wearing their hijab, or even if it's a man's phone, his wife that's not wearing a hijab in her pictures. Or if you see someone praying in an airport, don't be scared. This is what prayer looks like. This is why they're not responding, because they can't respond while they're praying. So
yeah, I didn't know that either. So imagine you're a law enforcement officer and you say, sir, and the gentleman doesn't turn around. Immediately they would think, what's going on here?
That's what's scary. Right. That's what's scary, is that because they don't have the education of it, we're here to educate. Right. This is what Muslims are. This is what we believe. This is how we practice. Please respect our rights. Please respect us. And please stop stopping us at the border. But we'll get there, hopefully, inshallah. But that opened the door, to other federal agencies. As Wilfredo had mentioned, we have other federal agencies coming and training us and asking for us to train them on our religion and our identities. We have Duval County Public Schools Equity Division. They are interested in doing a training. They actually reached out to us as well. Hey, what can we do about Ramadan and about Eid? We want to make sure that we're respecting the holidays. And we're like, you know what? Let's just do the whole thing. We don't even need to just give you the dates. We'll do the whole thing for you. So they were very receptive to that. We have that scheduled. I have about 2 faith-based groups coming up, one in this month and I think one next month as well. And then we also, those are, for the faith-based groups, it's more understanding your Muslim neighbor. How can we as faith-based groups, join together? How can we understand each other? How can we respect each other? And we also have Orange County Public Schools. We had a training with them while I was out, and then they were very receptive to it, where now they want 2 trainings this month. They're opening it up to an even wider audience. So we have a few Know Your Rights trainings with a few youth groups coming up this month as well. So there's a lot going on, and like I mentioned, we're really trying to amplify education, because we're really trying to educate the Muslim community on their rights. We're trying to educate the mosques on how to protect their Muslim community, and we're really trying to educate the non-Muslim community, and especially the people in power, this is what a Muslim is. This is how we practice. This is what we worship, how we worship. These are our rights. And as you're supposed to be respecting everyone's rights, you need to be respecting our rights as well. And so we're really trying to focus on that and amplify that out. So hopefully, inshallah, the next few months will be really great with all of these education that we have.
And with your level of enthusiasm and charm, it can't fail.
Well, I appreciate that, Norma.
I remember a few months ago, in my capacity as a government type liaison person, having a conversation with an aide of a U.S. representative, and she said to me, "What does the Muslim community want?" And I'm going, "Well, they want to be treated with the same dignity and respect as anybody else, and in the context of the dress and so on, it may mean something else, but so there's a genuine curiosity, but always this little threshold, and it sounds like these programs are going to get over that threshold."
Yeah, I hope so. I feel like we see a lot of anti-Muslim rhetoric in our politics, not even just in our country, but in other countries across the world. We have in certain countries that are banning specifically Muslim attire. You can't wear hijab, you can't wear kufis, but it's okay for other religions to wear whatever they want, wear their crosses, to wear, for nuns to wear whatever they want. But for some reason, it's not acceptable for Muslims. And the fear is that that's going to reach here. And so we're really trying to stop that from reaching here. It's rolling down the line, but with anti-Muslim rhetoric going on in our political system and our political climate, but that's what CARE is for. We're here to really stop it from getting that far and hopefully pushing the boulder back up the hill, because it's been rolling down quite quickly, actually.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Like we have said, we educate, protect, and advocate. The emphasis on education this year does not come at the expense of us lowering our guard in the legal department or in the advocacy when we go to the streets and work with our allies. As a matter of fact, we are part of multiple civic alliances with social groups that are advocating for immigrant justice, that are advocating for equality, that are advocating for the good treatment of those immigrants that come to this country, that affects obviously a good part of our community. The African American community, we have brought them to work with us this year as a priority. We are closely monitoring our Muslim inmate community in the different jails. They just changed, for example, the diet in the Florida prison system to include, after it was for many years not part of the menu, pork as part of the menu. And that obviously would create, and is already creating, some kind of crisis in the Muslim inmates community. But we are with them and we're monitoring it, and we're also meeting with the administration, closely telling them what are the requirements for a Muslim diet, re-emphasizing, because they already know that, making sure that those Muslims that work in the kitchen are not forced to serve pork. Otherwise, they will lose the opportunity to work in the prison system. That's one of the things. Another thing that keeps us revisiting us is the hijab issue when Muslim women are interacting with law enforcement. That is something perhaps that is in the hands of our legal department, and I can assure our community, they are hands-on on securing the safety of our sisters, being from girls to teenagers to adults, that they are guaranteed the right to wear or not to wear the hijab, that they are guaranteed the right to safe passage when traveling, when they are guaranteed human dignity and they're not exposed to people of the other gender while being intervened and dispossessed, and in some cases even forcefully, of their hijab. These are issues that we're not only monitoring, but we're hands-on, and we have our attorneys, our experienced attorneys, hands-on on these type of issues. We just received this week, it went as a viral story. Probably all of you have heard of our lead attorney, Taj Murphy, requesting an investigation on an Orange County deputy sheriff who posted Islamophobic posts and hateful posts. That deputy was disciplined as a consequence of us exposing him and us requesting action from the sheriff department. And our kudos to the sheriff department for listening and showing intolerance to hate among their ranks. That should be the vision that we want to create, not only on Orange County, but on all counties, on all law enforcement agencies. And in order to do it, we have adopted this educate, protect, and advocate vision, where we dedicate our resources to prevent those problems to keep revisiting us from 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, and still revisiting us. If we really wanted to provoke change, we needed to do another approach, and that's the approach that Care Florida is doing, going this year on and from the next 5 years to the root cause of the racism that affects our community, to the root cause of those haters that want to see our female wearing their hijab when they tell you to wear it or when they tell you to take it off. Our families, from toddlers to elders, being submitted to humiliating passage through the ports of entry to this country, even if they're citizens, even if they are serve our armed forces, even if they're doctors and productive citizens. A lot of them, from the whole family, is humiliated in the process of coming back to this country. When our communities are allowed to visit their families worldwide, that they have no limitations to visit their uncle, their aunt, their grandpas, or vice versa. These are the guarantees, and these are the changes Care Florida wants to provoke by adopting a new strategy on, instead of taking a case and dealing with that case and solving the problem from that sister or that brother, to take that case and help, while working in that case, to help that case will solve another cases similar to them, because we have been able to change and institutionalize justice policies in all throughout the system. This is a year's project, but we are hands-on, and we have professionals behind us in all our departments to back up this new approach of Care Florida towards being a change of systemic to systemic racism and systemic Islamophobia that still permeates to this day.
Yeah. I think that's what the Orange County Sheriff's Office did. It really shows that it's not okay. And I think sometimes that message, you don't want everybody to be disciplined and harshly dealt with and so on, but you do want acknowledgement from the law enforcement that stops your sons and daughters on the street, that they don't find that okay. And I think that message was loud and clear, and I hope the officer has learned. And I understand he has apologized, and maybe there's some bridge building that can be done here as well. Also, the Duval County Sheriff's Office and Jail in Jacksonville, I'm not sure, I think it's called the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. They're the ones that implemented the policy where women who come in contact with law enforcement are treated with dignity, and even issued a hijab if the law enforcement officers there think they don't want her to take her own, she gets one from them. And then I think that's a huge step that ensures that everyone is treated with dignity and fairness. And that's all that's all we want. And that's the promise of America, really.
I think that that policy change was really impactful, and that was at the Duval County jails. And thanks to Mr. Hiba, who's now our Tampa regional coordinator. And also our lead attorney, Taj Murphy, and law clerk Adat Dean. I mean, it was like a team effort. Everybody was on board, and everybody was helping and putting their input wherever they could in that. But they were very receptive, and the policies, I just read them yesterday, and I'm very impressed with how thorough they are and how respectful they are. They took our advice, they took the resources. I mean, we've done this with other jails as well and other prisons as well. But the way that they were receptive to it, it really shows the kind of impact that just these kinds of communications. Like, listen, these are serious issues, and we're just asking you to respect our rights, and we're here to work with you. We're here to guide you. We're not asking you to treat us any differently. We're not asking you to give us any special treatment. We're saying, listen, we understand the safety and protocols that need to be done, but do it in a respectful manner. And so that was a very great success for us, and alhamdulillah for that.
Well, that's great. We're coming toward the end of our time here. Any closing words or anything that I forgot to ask or that you forgot to mention that's going on?
No, I just want to welcome comments or suggestions from our community. The community, we were blessed with having an office prepared to work remotely even before the pandemic. That enabled us to keep serving our community without a day of interruption, alhamdulillah, throughout the whole pandemic year. And that took a lot of effort from our peers, our team in Care Florida, and also is an example of us having the right vision for to address the needs of our community, not only at present but in the future. We're always thinking a step ahead. What is it that what will be our community needs, not only this year but the year after, and in 2 years? What will be their needs if we can project things moving one way or the other? And that have enabled us and still enable us to be a step ahead in the preparedness and the tools that we have and continue to have to better serve our community. To be able to serve throughout the pandemic without a date of interruption is a huge success, not for Care Florida, but for the Muslim community who invested in Care Florida and help us be prepared for this. And I know the community will continue to support us when we are presenting them with new strategies to be agents of transformational change in those systemic problems like racism, Islamophobia, hate, discrimination that still affects our community. We're here for you. We want to hear from you as well. And we are as strong as you have made us through the past years. And I pray that you keep Care Florida in your prayers, and you keep Care Florida present during the month of Ramadan, and help us, not only financially. If you have a talent or an ability that you think you can contribute to our operation, contact us. We do have interns, we have volunteers that do serve us, your community, through Care Florida, and that's a great part of what we do. We have people who have volunteered that are now attorneys, people that have volunteered that are professionals, not only serving in care but in other organizations, but they were formed in care. We have a big team throughout the state. We want to keep serving you and help us in this new vision of to educate, to protect, and advocate for our community, inshallah. Thank you, Norma.
Those are beautiful words. And some people that volunteer and then they become the government affairs coordinator after a while. How about you, Laura?
Well, I'm with you on that, Norma. I started out as an intern and then a volunteer, and then here I am 4 years later, alhamdulillah. But Wilfredo said everything that's on my mind as well. You know, please, I feel like it's very important for us to emphasize that the community input is very important to our work. We need to know how we can be there for you, what you need from us, how we can support you, how we can represent you, and what you would like us to do, whether it's for your specific community or if you see an issue and you want us to address that issue, contact us and we're there for you, inshallah. Yeah. And I'm very blessed to be in this position, and I thank everybody in Central Florida and across the state for welcoming me to this position, and inshallah I can please you all and do the best that I can, inshallah.
Thank you, Lara. And I guess in parting, my word would be, and like, you only have to turn on the television, where every newscast tells Americans how polarized we are and how we cannot talk to each other. And we can show that this is not the case. We can talk to each other, even if we have different opinions or different stances on policy, as long as we treat each other with dignity and respect that we would expect to be treated with. And I welcome all of the interactions that will result from these programs, and I'm really happy to be associated with this effort. And I want to thank everyone for watching, and hope to see you again next time. We have on March 17th, in preparation for Refugee Week, another program to deal with that issue. So please join us, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.